Hello and welcome. You're watching NewsX and I'm Megha Sharma. A video has emerged where a group of shepherds in Ladakh confront the Chinese soldiers after they were being prevented from grazing sheep near the India-China border. This video has been doing the rounds and has become viral. These shepherds were stopped from grazing their animals in the area after the 2020 Galwan clash. They have returned to the area but were stopped last evening by the People's Liberation Army. The locals remained undeterred and told the Chinese soldiers that they were on Indian territory and they needed to be pushed back. Let's take a closer look at this video and dissect it screenshot by screenshot as to what exactly happened in this video. And this video that is playing on your screens is what I am also going to depict here with a touchpad explanation, a presentation of the sorts, where I am going to quickly take you through these point by point developments that took place within this entire video. Can we just put out the touch screen on our television screen? Can we mirror it? Okay, all right. So here it is. This is how the video starts, and there are these three Chinese soldiers that have been spotted along the line of actual control in the border village in Ladakh. There are three of these soldiers that have been spotted. The number one over here, who has been captured by one of the locals who actually recorded this entire video. There are other two in the background, and these are the two individuals from the People's Liberation Army that were also present during this skirmish that has taken place. Let's take a look at this second video where in this screenshot what we are able to see are these Chinese soldiers that are present in front of the screen and at the back, and there are these two encircled armored vehicles that are also spotted at the time of the skirmish, at the spot of this confrontation that took place. This image shows more number of these Chinese soldiers. There are 5 of them in total, at least 5 of them that were involved in this confrontation with the locals, the local shepherds that had come to graze their sheep on the ground, and all this while this video is being recorded by the locals. There is also these Chinese soldiers who were also recording this entire incident that took place in the last 24 hours. Let's take a look at this incident where after this confrontation and the threat that had been issued by the People's Liberation Army soldiers, that the locals have now started to pick these stones from the ground and started pelting them at these Chinese soldiers after being threatened to remove themselves from the area. There's more of these visuals that these locals are now gathering stones and pelting them at the Chinese soldiers. The Chinese soldiers at this point of time, again a confrontation that is happening between the two sides, and here it is, they are trying to stop these shepherds from hitting them with stones. There is again a confrontation where talks, some sort of a confrontation happening between these two sides. In this particular screenshot, we see that one of these Chinese soldiers is going back to the armored vehicle of the People's Liberation Army that is parked just nearby this confrontation site. Quickly taking a look at another of these pictures where you can actually see the sheep that are grazing in this area on the right hand side and also in the background. So there seem to be hundreds and hundreds of these sheep that are grazing this area where this confrontation happened. There is also a Chinese soldier who's walking in this area. There is a shepherd who's walking alongside him. Again, a picture of, there are at least I think 6 of these Chinese soldiers that have been caught on camera during the video that was shot by this Ladakhi local, the shepherd, and they have some sort of equipment in their hands, who are also at this point of time recording this video from the other end. In the video now, after the confrontation that has happened, there have been a number of times that the Chinese soldiers have attempted to stop these graziers from grazing their sheep on the ground. Their armored vehicles start to come closer to this confrontation site. So, this is the entire synopsis of the video that has gone viral of this confrontation that has happened along the line of actual control in Ladakh. Now, there is a visible policy reversal in the way India used to tackle China in the past versus how it tackles China today. There has been rapid development of the border villages along the line of actual control. The government has launched the Vibrant Villages scheme, spending crores of rupees to ensure that our borders are safe and secure and Chinese intrusion can be contained. There is a border area development program of the Ministry of Home Affairs, which includes construction of primary health centers, schools, supply of drinking water, community centers, connectivity and drainage to enable sustainable living in the border areas in the northeast. It is downright essential to habitate these border areas in wake of increased Chinese intrusion. The Chinese have been building settlements and villages on the Indian side of the border in Uttarakhand, Ladakh and Arunachal Pradesh. This has debilitated India in pushing back Chinese troops from its sovereign land. China has time and again claimed Indian territory as its own. The 1962 war, 2017 Doklam crisis, 2020 Galwan crash and the unlawfully entering of the Chinese troops into Tawang in Arunachal. These are some of the past instances where China has wrongfully staked claim on Indian territory along the northeast border. India has now started paying China back in its own coin. But the question also arises is, why now? Why has there not been a policy change long time ago, decades ago, when we have seen systematic Chinese intrusion into our own territory in the examples that I brought forth, particularly starting from the 1962 war? I'm going to start my conversation with my panelists over here. I'm going to start off with Colonel Shalendra Singh. Colonel Shalendra, this video that has been released, reinstates belief in the locals living in the northeast parts bordering line of actual control that they are being supported militarily by way of policy change, by way of political will, and also the development projects that have been undertaken by the government of India to help them settle their homes, settle their businesses, give them jobs, give them habitation in these areas, and thereby the power for them to travel to all these places, which is Indian land, which up until very recently was not allowed to the locals to penetrate because of the visible threat that they faced from the Chinese side. Now, a situation that has turned on its head for the past few years, keeping in mind there have been crores of rupees that have been invested by the government of India to develop these regions. The question being, when the Chinese have been doing this for far too long, for decades together, what had stopped India from doing so up until recently? Sumit, the same question to you.
Megha ji, thanks for having me on your show. It was always a political dilemma. We did not understand China. We did not want to understand China. We saw China with a Nehruvian lens. As per Nehruvian lens, Hindi Chini Bhai Pai, as per Nehruvian lens, when we were offered the United Nations security seat, we have kind of given that to China. We said if China rejects, then we'll consider it. And 62 more, again, we were betrayed because we had this policy of Hindi Chini Bhai Bhai. And even after that, remember A.K. Anthony ji saying in the parliament, let's not build roads to China because that's the only defense against China. Jairam Ramesh saying, let's not build a dam or a reservoir in Northeast that will upset China. Let's not build roads to the Tawang that will upset China. Let's not have forward posts that will upset China. Let's not build border roads infrastructure because that will upset China. And let's bring it under this green tribunal. So whenever a road has to be built, the green tribunal has to approve it. We have been in a delusion vis-a-vis China. The reality vis-a-vis China, if you look what Dr. Jaishankar said recently around a month back, came under the Modi era. When we started looking China, it is. Remember what did Mr. George Fernandez tell us long back? His words of wisdom. The adversary is not Pakistan, the adversary is China. And that is exactly what it was. But we somehow did not want to look at China. And on the top of that, Rahul Gandhi ji goes and signs a MOU with the Chinese Communist Party. Xi Jinping and he signed a MOU, which we don't know what is inside there. So after with that MOU being signed, and if you go from 62 and you come down to the MOU, there has been always a delusion, a political delusion, engineered delusion vis-a-vis China. The reality checks comes when Prime Minister Modi takes over and he starts building the roads, he starts building the infrastructure, he starts acquiring weapons, Atmanirbhar Bharat, deploying forces, building up the mountain brigade, recruiting the people from the locals, putting that vibrant village policy, putting money into there, giving them food, arms, infrastructure. And let's not forget one important fact of the history. When Chinese were trying to capture Tibet, where did the ration go from? Who sent the ration to the Chinese troops? These are the questions of history which people will not answer. It's only after the change of political will this has happened. And let me take you back, at the time of Galwan or slightly before that, Meghaji, we have been on the shows. What were we told? PLA is so powerful that within 3 days they will be in Delhi. You cannot stop PLA. PLA is invincible. Now that myth stands shattered because of the Indian Army. Today, the scene is that forget that myth was so strong that they used to scare us with that myth. Forget that. Today, forget the Indian Army. Even Indian shepherds are not afraid of PLA. Indian shepherds are going and confronting PLA. Bhai, tumhare baap ki zameen hai kya? This land belongs to us. And where is that 20,000 kilometers of land which, according to Rahul Gandhi ji, was taken by the China? He is not able to give the latitude and longitude of that land. He has been only talking about that. Now, if China is there, it's because of the Indian army, it's because of the Indian political leadership and the Indian diplomacy. Look at Galwan, look at Tawang, look at G20, look at the IMAC, look at the Biofuels Alliance, look at how we have handled China globally. There was a perception in the world, no big decision in the world cannot be taken without China. Look at G20. IMAC was announced, this Biofuels Alliance was announced, and so many things were announced, and there was no China there. She decided not to come, it's okay. And in BRICS, when Prime Minister Modi was sitting next to Xi, what did he announce in BRICS? India is the manufacturing capital of the world. Come make in India. This is the political narrative. This is the political will. This is the political. That's what we did not have before.
Okay, fair enough. I'm trying to narrow down this conversation, particularly to a line of actual control. And Group Captain Vienja, if you could, help us draw a comparison to the India policy against China 2 decades ago versus the situation that we have at hand today. And I particularly mentioned in my introduction that there has been the Vibrant Villages program that is directly targeted at development of the northeastern villages. Remember, the Vibrant Villages program, the initiative, was launched by Union Minister Amit Shah when he visited Arunachal Pradesh, talking about some multi-crore rupees that had been allocated to develop the villages along the borders of Arunachal Pradesh. Incidentally, this move was made by the government of India just a few days after the Chinese came out and named those 17 villages along the line of actual control in Arunachal Pradesh and renamed them as their own. So there is a direct, aggressive aim that has been taken by the government of India. Instead of shying away and lying low over these aggressive, belligerent, expansionist activities and moves that have been made by the Chinese, not for the first time when that Arunachal Pradesh incident happened in 2023, but several times in the past for decades together.
Well, Megha, I have a slightly different take. Good that Sumit touched on to all major issues. But let me concentrate here on the incident that has happened. While I am very happy that the villagers, those shepherds, they were able to pick up stones and threaten the Chinese who had transgressed inside. But why should they have to do it? Good that they have done it. There's no doubt about it. And every Indian should today stand in such a case against those PLA. But where is the village defense? Where is the vibrant village program? Where is the rapid action force of the Indian armed forces? Where is the rapid action force of the police? Where are these people who are responsible for the defense in the peacetime all along the LAC? That is what is slightly bogging me down, because anytime such incidents happen, we have talked numerous times on your channel that there should be a rapid action force, and the armed forces, or if it is the ITBP or it is BSF, whosoever may be in charge of that. We understand that today there is a good sort of intelligence sharing, good type of understanding between the various wings of the defense of India along the LAC. Where are they? That is what is bothering me. Now, these people have come well within inside the Indian border. Yes, they have been doing it earlier, but now when they are doing it post Galwan, and that the army is not to be seen there, no police is to be seen, no IPBP, no rapid action force is to be seen. This is what is bothering me, because then they will do at another place. Now they know that they have come here at this place. They can similarly do the same thing at some other location. It is a 3,500, 3,800 kilometers stretch of the LAC. So what happens? Now, this is what is bothering me, and today it's it's a report card to the both Ministry of Defense as well as Home Ministry. Where is that close exchange of the intelligence? Now these villagers have told us that they have done it so. They had done it earlier also. We understand. I think on the 1st or 2nd of January, again they have done some similar things somewhere in the vicinity. They have been doing it repeatedly. Where is that active Indian approach towards it? Passive has been there.
Okay. So do you think the measures, the initiatives, the border road development programs, the villages development programs, and the crores that have been spent, and there is going to be gestation period. Now, these settlements can't come up in a day or in a few weeks or in a few months. But do you think an initiative has been carried forward which is in contrast to how our foreign policy was in terms of China and the military approach that was showcased by China in intruding into our territory without any fear of any retaliation, particularly when we would speak about, if there is empty land, if there is barren land along the border, we would rather not develop it and let it continue to be barren. But what the Chinese did was took advantage of the fact, took over our land and developed their own settlements and villages, and they built up houses and they built up shops, and they are then, it's a habitated land. It's where there are being incentives given by the Chinese government to allow for people. There are subsidies that are given, there are additional funds that are given, there is financial assistance that is being provided to people, incentives being given to the Chinese nationals to come and habitate these areas along the border.
Megha, to be very frank, there are some areas, especially on the eastern part of the LAC, be it Arunachal or be it somewhere in the Sikkim region, bordering those Bhutan areas, Doklam. We know that those are the areas where there have been grey zones. But here in this area where right now we are talking of, here there is no Chinese villages, there is no room for Chinese villages to be created. Leave those Doklam areas. If Bhutan had some understanding with Chinese, That is some absolutely different points. Here now we are talking about the eastern Ladakh, and in this area, I agree with your narrative that there will be a gestation period in the village defense or the vibrant village program or anything else to show up. But where is that the passive defense of LAC, whether it is in the hands of ITBP or it is in the hands of the Indian Army Armed Forces, or it is in the BSF or anyone else. Where is that police? I'm talking of when the shepherds are talking, throwing stones onto the PLA. Where is the police? If the civilians are there, somewhere if the police will be there, I can understand that police number will not be adequate.
Okay,
I understand.
Enough. Okay, Colonel Shalendra Singh, if you can hear us now.
I can hear you.
Yeah, okay. So, Colonel Shalendra...
I can hear you.
Yeah,
I can hear you.
Yeah, okay. I again talk about the contrast in our foreign policy, in our military policy in dealing with China. Was it because we were back in the day, decades ago, from 1962 onwards, an underdeveloped economy, could not stand our ground in front of China that was rapidly growing at all fronts, and therefore stood intimidated, smaller in size with the Chinese aggression, and therefore let it be, because somewhere down the line we thought ourselves to be ill-equipped to tackle China militarily, diplomatically, financially, on all other fronts. Have tables turned by way of India with its resonance of becoming an economic superpower across the world, talking about our military presence in the northeastern border, talking about our military prowess and a self-realization of us being a strong country that cannot be messed with.
Jai Hind, everybody. I can only tell you one thing, all our three parts where Chinese are, whether the northeast part, Sikkim part, or to that extent Ladakh part, or you take it towards Pithoragarh side or wherever, each sector has got a difference. I'll not get into the debate about the deployment and things like that, but I would definitely contest and request, Captain Sir, you cannot deploy, sir, army anywhere and everywhere, wherever you two soldiers walking the Chinese side. I'll firstly answer the questions raised, that whether we have grown economically and that is why we are able to see the difference in change. Yes, very much, very much. And to that extent, I will only say Sumit is right. Says that yes, development is taking place now. Whether it is adequate or not, you will see it in next 10 years. It doesn't happen overnight. The way we are talking about establishing a village or strengthening a village, it requires money. If you are prepared to have that money, yes, why not? I would also like that air-conditioned shelters in Ladakh, the way Chinese army has. But that is not what we are. We have to live within our means. But let us not convey, this is where my army comes in. Let us not convey that they have come and snatched away our land. I challenge anybody and everybody, even during the so-called Galwan or all these episodes, which was that inch of land which was taken away where my forge was deployed? You will talk about. Even now, when we are talking about this grazers problem, this is where, this has happened in somewhere in Trishul, where I have been there, 36 pillar, it is around that place where we are talking about. 36 pillar was never occupied by us. Galwan, pillar 11 to 14 was never occupied by us. Please understand the difference. You can't start deploying troops at every pillar. These pillars are our guidelines for the patrolling. The patrols can go wrong. Chinese patrol in 36 pillar and Trishul went wrong. Not that they are deployed. Two personal carrier cannot occupy a land. Please try and understand. We have to face the reality. They came wrong. And that is where what Peer was saying and what you are saying, Sneha, that if you develop the villages, you have that, connectivity with them. That is how you will see that the villages will start contesting and asserting their right over their land. And I think that is where we are going, right? The present government is strengthening the villages. Don't employ IIT BP in every village. You do that strategically, tactically. But when you are having villages, why the SDM, ADM?
Let me take a quick short commercial break. Come right back. We are discussing this incident that has taken place and what is going to be the impact of it. Obviously, the growing narrative about India's growing presence along the border and our resistance to any kind of intrusion from the Chinese into our own sovereign land. Quickly getting in Sumit Pere into the discussion, and Sumit, it was appalling that there would be Chinese settlements, habitations along our border, whether it was Arunachal Pradesh, we talk about Ladakh and that massive Galwan skirmish that took place. Many of our Indian soldiers lost their lives as well, but it has transcended the northeast border, the 3,500 kilometers, and then traversed into Nepal as well. In Arunachal Pradesh, there were several of these salami slicing tactics of the Chinese that were directly impacting India. There were these villages that were being set up by China along the border, and Nepal was in fact colluding with China, not wanting to utter a word or come up in defense of this Chinese intrusion. Something similar when we take a look at Pakistan, where China continues to support Pakistan, and in Gwadar it is building these ports and obviously has a tacit understanding with Pakistan that Pakistan occupied Kashmir will not be allowed to be taken by India. It is going to be militarily equipped to ensure that India's attempts to take back its own land are thwarted at every account. So this is a larger goal of the Chinese. I'm also going to at this point mention what is happening in Manipur or Mizoram, and a similar tactic being applied indirectly by the Chinese at the hands of Myanmar, which also shares a very porous border with India in Manipur. And situation is tense, and this has been the modus operandi of how China works. Tibet has been a difficult situation for India to handle, keeping in mind there have been a number of air bases, military bases, these camps that have been set up. There are huge number of artillery, other military equipment, defense arsenal that is parked over there at any given point of time. How do we ensure that we are parallelly setting up these bases which are then going to mirror and outnumber the Chinese as well? Because frankly speaking, we have only just started with our infrastructure project, with our defense bases projects in all these areas, and it is going to take us a few years of gestation to see for the results against the Chinese.
You see, Meghaji, it's a couple of things what we have done. First of all, we have identified the problem. Identification of the problem is 50% of the solution. So if you look at the villages, the amount of money which has been put in. Now, as a matter of fact, if we talk of this particular incident, if the shepherds were there, they did not come 100-kilometer grazing their sheep. They must be somewhere 2-4 kilometer aage piche where they reach that pillar points. So that means something has worked on the ground. If I see a shepherd at a pillar post, what Colonel Sahab rightly said, and contesting the PLA, something on the ground has worked which was not working before. Secondly, if you look at the forward bases which we have from Daulat Beg, OD and others which we have activated, now we have even the Hercules and the bigger transport planes landing there. We have built the shelters, we have done the mirror deployment, we have deployed Parlai, we have deployed Prachand, we have deployed MiG-29s, we have deployed Rafales, we have a S-400 deployed there. So whatever we need to do at our time, we have done. And remember, there was a statement from PLA which said that the Indian response time is much faster what it used to be before Galwan. In Galwan, we had this problem of swarm drones. There's a lot of Chinese drones coming in. Now, swarm and swarm drones both have been deployed there. Tubular drones, handheld drones, man-packed drones, we have deployed everything there. Our ammunition is stacked. We are able to keep people there 24/7. Rations are going, winter clothing is going, all the amenities and things which we need to be is going. Now there are satellites up in the air which are monitoring the Chinese situation. That's why people like you and me know what China is doing where. So even China has realized it's not the India it was in 2001-3 where you could come and take the land. Look what Mr. Shyam Saran said. He was a secretary in the UP. He said 960 kilometers of land was taken by China and we did not even whisper a word. Ki theek hai, gaya, no problems. Now today, even our shepherds are confronting China. Forget the land. And what Rahul Gandhi ji says ki bhai 20,000 kilometer land liya, has Congress or anybody of them able been to give a latitude and longitude? I have always challenged them, give a latitude and longitude, which land is taken by China, where it is taken by China. If you are so sure land is taken by China, but the Prime Minister is very clear, not an inch of land has been taken. Look at the morale of Indian Army today. Look how we have thwarted them in Galwan and how we have beat the shit out of them in Tawang. They tried their luck in Galwan and Tawang. We have really given them a taste of their medicine. The morale of Indian Army is high, the morale of Indian diplomat is high. And look at our Foreign Affairs Minister. He is calling spade a spade. He does not mince his words with China. He told them, if you want relations, you have to maintain the border. It has to go back to status quo. A border is not normal. There will be no commercial equations. Who came to India? It was Wengi who came in a commercial plane. Who is calling India that I want to normalize the relations? Is the China. And recently, after President Macron's visit, she gave a statement that we have to start a new table with our relations with France because they believe that India is hijacking all the relations with the Europe. So there is some things which have changed in the game of perception, in the military, in the politics, in the diplomacy, and most important at the people level. See how much of you and me are not buying the Chinese goods now. See how much of Chinese chota good imports has stopped in India. See how much of Atmanirbharta we have done. 2013 we were importing all the mobile phones. In 2024 we are the second biggest exporter of mobile phones in the world, doing around more than $10 billion. So a lot of things have changed. Where is the biggest mobile factory in the world of Samsung? It's in Noida.
Okay.
Where is the manufacturing?
Yeah.
It's here. And today we can give Padma Bhushan to Foxconn owner. This is the big statement. Foxconn owner is a Taiwanese. We are giving a Padma Bhushan to him. China kar le kya kar lega? Have we shown this before? No, we have not shown. Now under Prime Minister Modi, we are showing. We are walking the talk. That's the difference.
Okay.
Foxconn is a very important thing.
Okay, fair enough. Good points made over there. And Major General Shashi Asthana, in a situation such as this, that India is able to tackle this belligerence by the Chinese. And particularly, I'm going to again bring back the focus to the northeast border because the discussion is pegged upon this video that has been released. And the growing stature of India, economically, the political will that we are witnessing, the diplomacy that India has placed, has it reaped benefits at last? Colonel Shalendra, quickly, the same question to you.
Okay, let me. I'll pinpointedly answer in very short. As far as militarily is concerned, I think the world knows it. China knows it better than anything. Nothing is acceptable. Anything which they try to do, we are there. We are going to be there and contesting about it. As far as politically is concerned, politically, not only China, the whole world knows it. We have the most stable, aggressive, I'll put it aggressive, and a die-hard country political setup at our government level. You dare not look into the weaknesses for it, because you would find one. If at all Pakistan or China, you try it, you know where you are heading for. You are heading for a big trouble. The best part this has happened is in the foreign affairs. Suddenly we find that we have a very aggressive, vibrant and outspoken is the most important. We are no more into diplomacy of only haath jod ke namaste, smile karna hai ya nahi karna. That used to be our trait. Now our country is into something where our foreign policy is very, very vocal. We are open about it. We are no more maintaining any secrets. We are doing affiliations. We are aligning ourselves as suiting our convenience. We will do anything and everything what suits us. Take it China, take it the world. You are in for a surprise, because here is a different India which you are seeing in last 10 to 15 years.
Okay. At this point, I'm also being joined by Sajjad Kargili. He's joining me from Ladakh. He's an activist. Sajjad, how is the local people in Ladakh reacting to this video of these shepherds who have stood their ground against these Chinese soldiers? What is the sentiment like on the ground?
This is not the first time when Chinese troops trying to provoke the Ladakhi people. Ladakhi people have seen such incidents in past also, both on Kargil side and also in Leh side, whether it is the front line connecting China or in Pakistan side. People of Ladakh have always stood side by side with the Indian Army, and Indian Army and people of Ladakh are on the same page. And that's why you have seen that video in which you must have seen that Ladakhi locals, they have very daringly confronted the Chinese army, the PLA. That's why China and Pakistan, they both are trying to provoke India on both sides, even in Gilgit-Baltistan, where they are trying to, China is investing money and they are working on OROB, China-Pakistan Economic Corridor, or on the other side, we can see there is a line of perception we all know, but China is continuously provoking India time and again, and that's why our army chief has said the situation is stable, but it's critical now. Ladakh
Right.
today and always, the people of Ladakhis, are with India and they are with the Indian Army, and there is no single second or not a second or not a single inch of land they can take away from the Ladakhi people. We will confront, we will always stood with our army. That is the message of the Ladakhi people to the world. And
Sajjad, how has development intensified in Ladakh, particularly the border villages? Has there been more penetration of welfare programs, roads, drainage system, hospitals, healthcare systems, educational institutions, schools, houses being built for the people of Ladakh, for the locals? Has there been an increment in these development programs, welfare schemes and projects that are being lodged along the border villages in Ladakh?
No, I will not bluff. I will not speak lie. I know there are many things that has been done by government of India. Particularly, I admire Nitin Gadkari ji for his wonderful work. For across Ladakh, I have seen the road connectivity, the network of road infrastructure is very good, and there is no doubt at all. But on the other side, in terms of health and education, there is a lot need to do a lot, because there is some places which are today we have seen that they are not connected. Telecommunication problem is there. There is health issues are there, and there is no facility. The infrastructure need to be built based on the process. But as far as road connectivity is concerned, the road network is very fine, and people are very happy with this road connectivity infrastructure, which is developed very well in Ladakh.
Sajjad, what are your expectations as a Ladakhi from the government of India? What do you hope is the government of India going to do for building settlements, building villages and ensuring they are prosperous? One is of course for the strategic reasons about fighting the Chinese intrusion into Ladakh, into the line of actual control. But on the other hand, the welfare and development of the people of Ladakh is at the forefront as well.
We must have differentiate two things. First, we must have internal issues, internal resentments, internal aspirations with the government, and the political problems we must have, because we are a democracy, and in democracy dissent is always there. But when it comes to our border, when it comes to our sovereignty, we are with the government of the time, we are with the army of our army. Second thing, Ladakhis, because we consider we are, our Prime Minister also used to say that India is mother of democracy. We are mother of democracy. Democracy is on our DNA. So we are not like China. So only development is not our issue. Development and democracy both must go hand in hand. That's why the people of Ladakh wants to have some safeguards in terms of sixth schedule in the region, so that our border, our environment, our glaciers, our tribal status would be maintained, would be safeguarded, and also there must be an assembly so that the people's representation will be there, and the people's representation at safeguards and jobs for our gazetted posts. These are the demands which are essential, and we are continuously talking with the government. Our negotiations are going on with the Ministry of Home Affairs, and we are optimistic, hopefully, that the government will give some, they will redress our issues as soon as possible. On the other hand, because you must remember that Ladakhis are not by choice, by chance Indian. We are by choice Indian, because we have seen many times our borders were intruded, intervention happened, but we have confronted the enemies.
Yeah.
And we stood with India. We always by choice, we are Indians. So now it's time the government take decision. And
okay, Sajid, also, an intriguing question in our minds, living far away from Ladakh and along the line of actual control is, do you think, if you make a comparison of Ladakh 30 years ago and Ladakh of today, are there visible, palpable changes on the ground?
Absolutely, we have seen so many changes in Ladakh, and changes are part of this social circle. We have seen the road connectivity. Now the connectivity is improving. We are seeing that the road infrastructure, the education system, the health system, and the living standard of the people is improving. But still, there is a lot need to do, and we hope that the UP administration and the government pay serious attention to the people towards the Ladakh, and they will address the issues of the people of Ladakh.
Okay, Major General Shashi Asthana, what is the way ahead? How do we tackle Chinese presence along the line of actual control? Because we are much slower in progressing towards setting up military establishments and, for that matter, civilian habitation. When we take a look at China and we take a look at what's been happening in Tibet, Aksai Chin, we also take a look, we were speaking about these civilian habitation settlements all along our border, whether it is Arunachal Pradesh or Uttarakhand, or for that matter, Ladakh, as we saw this video.
Firstly, as far as the infrastructure asymmetry is concerned, which you indicated, yes, it is very much there, but there have been many reasons for it, and I think it is getting closer, and we are improving at a very unprecedented pace in last decade or so. So the problem is, and there are many factors, and let me enumerate some of them. One is the terrain on their side. It's a plain desert on their side. Road construction is much easier, and therefore the infrastructure development is also much easier. On our side, it's the gradient is much steeper, and therefore the construction effort itself is a problem. Earlier, we also had policy problems in a manner that the infrastructure development on borders was not given that kind of attention, and you had a whole lot of obstacles like environment ministry putting problems and etc. etc. But now I think all those irritants have been removed, and infrastructure is developing at a much faster pace, but it will take time for us to catch up, and we have a lot to catch up. There's no doubt about it. Secondly, given the bigger context, because my internet was unstable for very long, so let me give a bigger context as well. In today's world, it's not the militaries who confront the other military or confront the other country. It is the comprehensive national power of one country which confronts the other country. And therefore, the responses, the question which you asked, also have to be in all domains. Now, as far as the military domain is concerned, it will be foolhardy to say, let's go and attack China, or let's start fighting with China, etc., etc., because it doesn't make economic sense, and it doesn't make it doesn't help us in much bigger way. Presently, what we are doing, I think, is a reasonable one in a manner that we have stopped wherever they got the first movers advantage. We have done the mirror deployment. In fact, I've been interviewed by various Chinese, and I've been asked this question by Chinese, and I have said that we will not de-escalate, and there will be no drop in Indian deployment unless we go back to pre-April 2020 position. So this position has been hardened, and I think our deployment is fairly strong to ensure that this happens. As far as fighting is concerned, it doesn't make sense because there is still talks. If in Sumdrongchu they took couple of years by talking for them to go back, maybe that may work. And if that doesn't work, there are other options in a manner that politically and diplomatically we have taken a hard line, and we continue to take a hard line.
Okay.
Secondly,
Okay.
you don't have to fight a country by own. This is Chanakya has said that you should have reasonable alliances. So therefore, we are also having a reasonable groupings in a manner that good strategic partnership with USA, building up, taking the maritime domain where China is weak, building bases in Nicobar, which is next to Malacca Strait. So there are many things which we are doing. We are the only country perhaps who have banned TikTok. Others haven't done so far.
Okay.
There are strong messages which are being sent, and it has to be taken in a comprehensive manner. All steps have to be taken in a comprehensive manner.
Okay. I also have me Vienja. Vienja, I'm going to quickly come to you. So, do you think there has been this narrative that has been built by India from all fronts? Let's not just talk about this military development that have happened in the past few years along the line of actual control, but also when it comes to diplomacy or the economic bans or sanctions that have been imposed against Chinese goods, Chinese companies, Chinese direct investments or FIIs that are pouring into India, and an overall narrative, a message that goes out to the world and to China about what India's intention is in how we tackle China. And do you see a contrast in how it used to be maybe 10 years ago versus how it is now?
Megha, I agree with all statements made on this channel. What you have mentioned, what just now General Asthana has spoken, what Shalendra Singh said, what Sumit said, what our panelists from the Ladakh, he has mentioned, everything is fine. But we are skirting one single issue, that is how this PLA person came right across close to Neoma. I don't think this place, what we are talking about, is at pillar. It is not. It is near Neoma. It is much within the pillar. It is far within inside. I understand that. Megha can clarify that. Your reporter can clarify that. What is that site we are talking of? If I am not mistaken, it is near Neoma. And that is why I said it is not acceptable, because then it shows that they can still come with impurity much within. And that is where I beg to differ from all other opinion that yes, military we are much better militarily. Infrastructure wise we are far better than what we were earlier. Every other thing is okay. But still, if PLA is able to come that many kilometers within and being confronted by the shepherds, I again repeat it, I admire those shepherds who have picked up the stone and attacked the PLA. But are they expected to do that? No. We have got passive defense as well as active defense. Leave about army. I'm not talking about the military confrontation with China. I'm talking of the general defense all along the PLA. It is, I understand again that it is not a small area. It is 3,500 odd kilometers. But then, what is? Have we gone to the drawing board? Have our national defense along the LAC gone on the drawing board, saying that yes, if from point A, if there's an intrusion of few kilometers, what is our reaction? Our satellites are surpassing this LAC every 90 minutes. One or other satellite, whether it is Cartosat, whether it is other sat, it is doing that. Are we able to pick up and caution the rapid action force of be that of paramilitary, be that of military? Are we able to coordinate those things
Okay.
on the defense line? That is where is my point, that is one area where Indian defense system, both Home Ministry as well as the Defense Ministry, they will have to sit together with the villages in concern. We have made that drone Didi in the interiors. Why can't we make that drone Didi at the LAC? Let there be a drone in every village. Let them scan those areas along the LAC and let them give us the forewarning that yes, there is a armored vehicle or some vehicle of Chinese which is trying to come inside, and let the entire rapid action force be activated, not for the fighting, but for confronting them. Because we don't expect our shepherds to fight that. Shepherds are our citizens. Yes, good that they have got that much of morale today to pick up a stone and throw at them. But that is not the way how to do it. It should be our paramilitary or military who should take care of the defense across the LAC. There should be a drawing board. We must go to the drawing board. If intrusion happens at so-and-so place, what is our plan? Be anywhere. The eastern part of the LAC, mid part of the LAC. Let's not talk about the Nepal. Nepal, it's a gone case. Do you know that the northern the slope of Mount Everest is being claimed by China, and Nepal has taken it for granted that yes, it is their part. So that is how the Nepal part is gone. Let's not talk of that, but let's talk about our own land. In the eastern Ladakh, all along those, I think, we are talking of the Kailash prefecture and all those areas. If there is an intrusion, what is our plan? That is where we are lacking it. Let us activate our, latest technology, be it satellite, be it drones, and combined with the rapid action force of either military or the paramilitary or the police. Someone should be there. Let's not leave it to the shepherd to,
Yeah, fair enough. I still, at this point of time, not understand, can there be a comparison made that our shepherds were forced to confront the PLA forces because we were falling short of our military troops to tackle the situation. But nonetheless, there is at this point of time a cohesion that needs to be seen in the political will, the military establishments, the tri-services, and of course in conjunction with the civilians that need to be taken into accord to fight the Chinese intrusion menace that has been going on for far too long. This is definitely a step in the right direction and an image of India which is more aggressive, which is more daring, and which is showcased that it is not afraid and acting not as a coward, but somebody who can take on the Chinese head on. I thank all of you for joining me on the telecast. Thanks for watching.
For more such videos, subscribe to the NewsX YouTube channel, hit the bell icon.